В предишния епизод на Камифуда отново се върнах с Люн, за да изпълня обещанието си да му помогна в провеждането на анкетата. Претърпяхме гръмък провал в интервюирането на Куизъл и Викс, а при опита ни да се допитаме до Земфрея се превърнахме и в чистачи. Самата тя се оказа моят следващ учител по магия. Тренировката с нея беше болезнена, както винаги, но в крайна сметка успях да надмогна и да затвърдя славата си на майстор по Камифуда. Продължавам към картите. Това беше водичката. Може би трябваше да избирам бялото. Всъщност трябва да избирам бялото в такива ситуации. Забравям си. Това е тавматургията. Сакроманси. О, Блъдричо. Чудесно между другото. Блъдричо, хелава карта. Карта, която има реалистичен шанс да довърши дуела в хода на събитията. Нека да видим какви карти мога да си взема. Нови. Има нови карти, да. Това е този ритуал, който обаче изисква 2 и също така 22 докато мине. Completes gain 14 shield. Opponent gains shield 14. Доста тъпо. Take 3 damage, opponent takes 3 damage. Gain 1 energy, opponent passes priority, така тук gain 1 energy. Incense 3. Reclaim, също така reclaim какво е? Whenever this spell goes to rest, redraw it to your thoughts at the start of the next round. Това е яко между другото. Изблок, gain catalyze. Добре. Спектър не е лоша карта между другото. Ай този ритуал, защото е много интересна такава. Sense 2. Това също е готино. Ако играя с огнените в някой момент. Flame Tongue. Засилих и огненото школо. Бекин Гломрод. Време е за нов Камифуда ритуал. One day on my way to residence halls, I run straight into something and fall flat on my own ass. I rub my head just in time to notice Evie picking herself back up as well. Evie, I'm so sorry. I pull myself off the stone. I was in my own little world. Wasn't watching where I was going. She shakes her head. Well, this is actually a little fortuitous. I was hoping to get another bout in with you. Deciphering her when she's like this really doesn't get any easier though, does it? Well, if you're pardon, тръгна да озвучавам Еви. Well, if you're up for it. Добре, интересно ми е със също тестери с подобно дали ще се справя. Има място за още един ритуал, което значи, че може би ще е полезно да си сложа още един Blood Curse вместо един Flesh Eater. Се чуя на тия Blood Curse дали ще успея да изкарам достатъчно. Но пък Flesh Eater ми трябва малко или много. Я тестваме. О, 3 Blood Curse. Това е доста unfortunate първа ръка, честно казано. Макар че имам карта за преизтегляне, както и за още едно преизтегляне, ако се наложи. За сега. Нека да остане така. Или пък знаете ли какво? Full on. За жалост буквално не ми се падна това, което ми трябваше. Както да е. Мога да изтегля на първи ход още. Струва си. 7, още 7. Струва си. Яко резърв ще изхъбя първия ход. Не, предпочитам това. Добре, ако се бие, опонента печели едно Divinity. Ще взема 10 демидж, ако ме удари. Няма много файда да го каствам, между другото. Another barrier? Окей. Нещо ми се раздразни гърлото, не знам защо. Blood Curse отново. Два висящи Blood Curse също така. Този ход няма да е толкова силен. Това нищо не прави сега в момента. Това не мога да го атакува. Не може да го атакува. Може да го щупи, добре. Мич сме окей. You can't defend forever. Only until you're defeated. You cheeky bastard. Добре. Не е добър ход за това. Шест шилдинг. Окупирай се, добре. Това беше грешка. Ма както да е. Нямам какво да играя. Имам реалистичен шанс да взема този дуел. Малко тъпо ми се подредиха картите. Едно резерв. Да, мисля, че я разбих. Или пък не. Би трябвало да я бием. Супер. Бихме. Много добър дуел. Не я бия плътно. You fought well, and I'm starting to think I'm just a natural. But your spell control is still all over the place. Well, yeah. She proceeds to pull 3 large books out of her backpack and recommends specific chapters for me to review. Maybe hitting up the bookworm for additional lessons wasn't the best plan after all. Много добре. Айде да видим. Moving through the hallways, I spot a curious sight. The lantern dim for the evening. But though I have since relinquished my use of Ihanam's fireflies, I am not left in total darkness. Training with the club members has proved fruitful. And though it is a paltry effect, I am now able to produce small crystals of light around me without the aid of the cards, or worse, binding everyone in my vicinity. Blinding, по-скоро може би има предвид, но както де. On my way through the faculty offices, back to the dormitories, I feel a light weight on my left shoulder. A crow lands on me. It calls loudly in my ear. Oh, jeez. It was just as quickly hops off. It just as quickly hops off onto the stone and keeps going until I face it properly. What's your deal, bird? The bird hops a few feet back and calls again. I move a bit closer and it repeats. You want me to follow you? The crow calls a bit louder this time. It flies into the air, dashing down the hall. Well, this isn't the strangest thing that's happened to me by any means. And what are the chances of an old crow leading me into some kind of a trap? Hi, Shirley, knowing this cool, but still. I follow the crow, who stops intermittently so that I may catch up for about 5 minutes or so. I quickly realize where it's leading me, and my stomach tightens into one big knot. At the end of the long, narrow corridor, which I'm forced to shimmy through, the crow waits. It is perched atop the old seal. Beneath him is Quizzle, who is plaintively staring at the strange set of doors. "Ah, good evening, Tarot." He turns to greet me. Typically skittish student gives a profound bow as I shimmy my way into the room. "I'm glad this companion of mine was able to find you." "Hey, Quiz. What are you doing here?"
"That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure myself, but I suppose if I was made to answer, I would say I'm trying to put many strings together in hopes of forming tapestry, so to speak."
His posture is pristine, his speech patterns clear and concise, and the eye contact he makes is startling to say the least. "You seem different, Quiz."
"I am. My head is very clear today."
"I see, that's a good thing, I take it."
"That's likely a matter for debate.
Good for whom? And what does good mean exactly? Gotta tell you, Quiz, this is kinda surreal. Usually...
Yes, I'm aware of my usual demeanor. Believe it or not, I used to always be like this. Unfortunately, days like today seldom come any longer. Soon, I suspect they'll cease to come at all.
I'm sorry, Quizzle.
As am I. But that's the lot you draw as a pact sworn. Well, some of us anyway.
Is that why you called me here? You want me to find a way to help you? For the briefest of moments, his eyes glitter with a sense of serenity.
No, Tarot, though
that you thought to ask is part of why I believe you're here. I'm not sure I follow you.
Listen close. There is something coming, something big. The other time, the one drowning in the fog of my pact, I believed he has seen it in its entirety. My pact master lends to me the power of divination that are beyond what many pact sworn are capable of. But they came at an obvious price. As I am today, however, I know not what I have already cleaned, naught but glimpses of shadows and screams.
If these glimpses come from your packmaster, can you even trust them?
That's a good question. Be sure to never stop asking it. The Eldritch do not work within means that we understand. They do not move toward the goal that we comprehend. A failure to remember that has proved many a pact sworn's demise. I cannot be sure that I can trust the things I've seen. All I know is that I fear the consequences of such visions more than the alternative.
Okay, Quiz. So something terrible is going to happen. Well, what should we do about it then? Should I talk to Ihram, tell the other club members?
I'm sorry, Tarot, I really don't know. And whatever the result, I've come to fear the answer to your questions are simply that whatever you choose to do is indeed what this world is meant to become. I'm afraid I have no comfort to offer you, only foreboding dread. And I suppose before this all ends, I wanted to tell you.
His eyes alight, dilated yet gleaming with a soft mist of tears.
I wanted to say thank you for being my friend.
His words are a knife in my heart, sweet and painful all the same. You never need to thank me for that, Quiz. Never.
No, I really do. His brow furrows. I notice there are thick beads of sweat cascading the length of his brow. I'm sorry, Tarot. I think my time is almost up now.
I see.
I hope you take no offense in me saying that, but I would like to spend these last few moments of clarity on my own.
Sure, Quiz, sure. I turn to make my way back through the narrow exit passage when the crow that led me here calls one more time.
Oh, and do take care of him, Tarot. The other Quizzo, I mean. I'm afraid he's grown quite fond of you.
I give him a final note, and I realize it feels a bit like saying goodbye. On my way back to the dormitories, I find myself deliberating what all these musings actually mean. As strange as Quiz can be, I believe him. If he says something horrible is on the horizon, then I've got to be prepared for anything. I've already lost one friend here. I'll be damned if I lose another. But fuck, am I out of depth here. I can't do this alone, not without folks I really trust. People I know I can depend on. Question is, who is that for me? Окей, добре. Имам някакъв шанс да си взема карти преди следващия диалог. Другия вариант е да не си взимам нищо, ако нищо не ми харесва особено, защото знам, че идва следващата партида. Може би по-скоро е по-добрия вариант това. Нямам, що го направих. Да, нека така да направим. I dream that I reside in a stone room infested with pulsating roots. In the dream, I am running, not away but toward a cold but crimson light. This light shines from deep within a twisted wood, hidden behind an altar bathed in blood. Around me screams erupt. The voices are all familiar and yet I cannot place them. And then there is a pressure in my gut, accompanied by fierce anguish. I am hoisted into the air, impaled on the dark roots of the vacuous tree. The pain is unimaginable, searing, and as the light fades from my eyes, I feel the heat of flames boiling my blood. I awake in sweat and agony. It is morning clearly. My dorm room exists in quiet serenity, but I'm hyperventilating, rolling frantically from my bed until I collapse upon cobblestone floors. Blood soaks my shirt, my abdomen is slick. I lift the garment to find a hole the size of a volleyball straight through my gut. The edges of the wound burn orange like coals. I watch in horror as the gaping hole slowly heals over and my flesh begins stitching itself back together like red-hot lattice work. The heat in my gut nearly hurtles me back to unconsciousness. But when the suffering finally abates, I find myself with an unblemished body, albeit a feverish to the touch. All around me, the blood splatter steams away at the demand of strange eldritch heat. What the fuck? I prod the space on my abdomen where moments ago one could literally reach a hand through me and out the other side. That dream of myself impaled on a root amongst a torrent of screams, did that actually happen? And if it did, how many of the other things I dreamed lately could be real as well? My temples ache, I am lightheaded and short of breath, and most of all I feel as if I'm holding a panic attack backed by the mere edge of a knife. This is beyond me, well beyond me. I can't ignore all this any longer. I need help, and fast. The last time I woke like this, I was in the Pale Gardens, and a member of the host explained to me that I'm trapped
To me, that out-trapped an entire town in time. What if the next time kills me? Or worse? I consider going to Professor Iharam, but the fear of being sent back to the dark, quiet prison. I guess there's one other person I've met here who might understand the situation at least. Though I'm fairly sure this is a terrible idea. I clear my throat. Shopkeeper! Shopkeeper, if you can hear me, I could really use your... The dreary stonework of my room fades into darkness. The shopkeeper greets me with a subtle blow. His long fingers stretch in my direction, though stop a hair before touching my person. Pact sworn. 'Tis thee who knocks at my door. I take a breath to get my bearings. My heart is still beating a mile a minute. Yes, shopkeeper, it's me. Thou art so bright, mine eyes hardly recognize thee. Upon your crossing into this domain, I took thee for but a moment as a star. I brush a few fingers across the newly grown flesh on my gut. Even here in the shopkeeper's frigid domain, the skin is still hot to the touch. I need your help. Aid? From me and mine? Mine fond windows, but a shadow. But thee, thou art blessed to walk a precipice of ascension. Should thee only find courage to rip open thine chrysalis. I don't want to ascend or burn like a star or anything else. I don't want any of this. I never did. I just want to be me. Can you help me with that or not? Very well, little pact sworn. Thou art the holder of mine accord. I shall assist thee as thine desires. Enlighten this wayward shade as to thine tribulations. 'Tis I, little one, who shall listen with open ears. Thank you. As strange as this creature can be, there's a part of me that is relieved to have him, or anyone really, to confide in for once. Even if that person is a malicious eldritch creature in a suit and a bow tie. Fine then, no more beating around the bush. Shopkeeper, I travel through time. Not willingly, it just happens. I try to pretend that I don't notice, because most of the time, in truth, I can hardly remember. Whatever happened in those past timelines, they seem like foggy images at best. Dreams, imagined events. But I know they are real, and I cannot ignore them any longer. They are getting worse. Just now I walked to a fatal wound through my gut, and I'm fairly sure whatever happened before I jumped back was... Well, can you help me or not, shopkeeper? Or am I just going to fucking... going insane? Crazed? No, little pact sworn. Thou art touched by a lord, thine lord of the temporal fires. Lord of temporal fires? 'Tis thine master, no? That flame which burns in one moment and all. 'Tis no time which wrenches you to and fro at the whims of its desire. 'Tis time which is thy dominion, pact sworn. For thou art the hands of thy lord's will. You are saying my pact master controls time itself? The shopkeeper tilts his head curiously, as if my very question is an oddity. Even if that's true, as far as I can tell, I've got no control over these gems at all. I just wake up over and over again utterly confused.
Most of the time I hardly retain any information at all, mostly just faint flashes, an image at most. Thou art still but an ember, little one, unfit to vessel an infinity. Patience, strength, kindles within thee. And what if I don't want... what if I don't want it to? Is there any way to stop all this? You would spurn thy lord? This one does not understand. When I woke from one of these jumps a minute ago, whatever happened, I'm pretty sure it nearly killed me. I don't want to wait until this ability becomes a death sentence. Is it truly thy lord's power which threatens you, little Paxhorn? Or has thine dominion supplied fine passage? A fiery escape from jaws which would otherwise consume thee? Добър въпрос. I think back to when I woke earlier. In the dream I was impaled upon the roots of what I'm fairly sure was the vacuous tree. It was only when I felt the slow creep of death that I felt that strange heat burn in my blood. I had assumed that these random jumps were how I'd gotten into these horrible situations in the first place. Like I'd been flung forward into a blood-curdling hell and conceivably might be pulled into worse at any given time, по-скоро. But what if the opposite were true? What if I'd lived every second up to the very moment where I'd been killed in that dream? And it was these temporal fires which flung back to save me. If only I could remember. Shopkeeper, change of plans. Say I wanted to try and remember my little excursions through time. How would I begin to do that? As this one said, thou art still a fledgling vessel, yet unprepared for the strain of thy master's fervor. There must be something I can do. Are you telling me the only recourse I have is to wait? This is always an alternative, little one, should one dare seek it. What say thee, Tarot of the Temporal Fires? Strike an accord with this shadow once more. He opens the palm of one hand. From his mercurial flesh, a small ring rises into the center of his palm. The ring bears a simple silver band and a red gem encrusted atop it. What is this? 'Tis but a piece, a sliver cut from my flesh. Brandish this ring upon your finger, so that I might find purchase within thee, and I shall travel with thee for a time, experience a world outside this, mine domain. In return, this one shall bear but a fraction of thine burden, sharing thy weight, so that this vessel may flourish. You help me retain my memories after I pass through time? As thee says little Paxhorn. And in exchange, you only want me to wear this ring? What are you getting out of that deal? As this one passes through thy world, outside the trappings of this domain, I shall feast. Devour the ambient energies, succulent and sublime, of thy bloated realm. I'm not sure I like the idea of him feeding on the energies of the world, of our world. He's pleasant enough for now, but who is to say what this creature is like when he's become a glutton on eldritch power? Still, it's not like I have too many options. You won't hurt anyone, right?
If you hurt anyone in any way, no matter how small, our deal is off.
As thee says, little Paxworn. As thee says.
Let's hope I don't regret this. Fine, I agree. I take the small ring from his hand. It is cold to the touch. I slip the ring into my finger. I wince in anticipation, waiting for the inevitable backstab, a maniacal laugh, a blood-curdling scream. Should I feel anything? My vision fades into darkness, but I blink and I've plainly returned to my dorm room without the shopkeeper in sight. I look over the small silver ring with more than a bit of apprehension. You wanted help, Tarot. Looks like you've got it. For better or worse. Only time will tell how useful this trinket will prove. But if that dream I saw and those wounds I experienced this morning are any indication, I need to figure out what's going on in this school very soon.